Screaming men, headless women, and phantom monks. If you're looking for the most chilling hauntings in English history, then you've found the right channel. England is a land steeped in grandeur, a realm of ancient castles, cobbled streets, and centuries of regal tradition. But beneath the pageantry lies a much darker legacy, one shrouded in violence, tragedy, and hauntings. Here are 10 of the most haunted villages in England. I'm your host, Severed Soul. Residents of Nottingham whisper about the chilling legends tied to George's Hill and George's Lane, tucked quietly away in the village of Calverton. For generations, locals whispered of ghostly figures, strange apparitions, and an oppressive atmosphere that clings to the road like fog on a winter's night. It wasn't until recent years that late-night dives into local forums and folklore threads that the sheer volume of reports began to reveal themselves. Again and again, George's Lane appeared, threaded through decades of sightings, strange experiences, and unexplained terror. The stories were countless, stretching back through time like the dark lane itself, and always eerily consistent. The area had become something of a legend in its own right. And yet, unlike the infamous Stocksbridge bypass in Sheffield, a road cemented in ghost lore thanks to its feature on an episode of Strange But True, George's Lane has remained largely in the shadows, its unsettling fame growing quietly, whispered among those who knew. But that anonymity is beginning to fade. In a thrilling turn, Calverton village finally claimed its moment in the spotlight. This year, it was featured in the chilling television series Help, My House is Haunted. A long overdue recognition of the area's ghostly reputation. But George's Lane is far from the only spectral tale the village holds. With its ancient roots and centuries-old buildings, Calverton is steeped in history and mystery. Stories of restless spirits, haunted homes, and eerie encounters echo through its narrow streets. It's no surprise that many now call Calverton one of the most haunted villages in the UK. And few places wear their ghostly heritage as proudly as this village does, where the past isn't just remembered, but felt. The folk museum murmurs with whispers of the old days, and the village pub creaks with stories best shared over a strong drink. But it's George's Hill that carries the weight of the village's darkest legend, and the reason some locals won't dare drive that road after nightfall. Ask any seasoned taxi driver, and they'll tell you the same thing. Avoid George's Hill after dark. If they must enter the village, they'll come through Woodborough instead. Further, but safer. Because up on that winding stretch of road, where the trees grow dense and shadows stretch long, something waits. The phantom of George's Hill. Always in black, always watching. One man described the figure with shaking hands. Tall and gaunt, cloaked in shadows, with a wide-brimmed hat pulled low over a hooked nose. Around its neck hung a heavy silver chain that caught the moonlight as it stepped from the hedgerow. At first, the witnesses ran, but the figure glided silently behind him, never breaking pace, never falling back, just following. He collapsed through his front door, heart racing. He fell ill for days afterwards, though no doctor could say why. Another time, a woman driving alone felt a sudden chill. Glancing into her rearview mirror, she saw him, seated in the back seat, silent, watching her. Black hat, no expression, no movement. Then, in the blink of an eye, gone. The car swerved violently as she screamed, narrowly avoiding the ditch. The figure doesn't always appear in full. A young couple reported that as they crested George's Hill one night, they saw a pair of disembodied legs, clad in old riding breeches, sprint across the road. Just the legs. Nothing more. No sound of feet on tarmac. No upper body. Just the impossible. And still, George's Hill waits. No one knows who the phantom is. Some whisper he was a rider thrown from his horse long ago. Others speak of a highwayman executed nearby, his silver chain once an ill-gotten prize. But what's certain is this: those who have seen him never forget, and those who haven't, they drive the long way around. So is Calverton just another quiet English village, or something far more sinister? With tales of shadowy figures on George's Hill, phantom footsteps, and spirits that seem to follow you home, it's clear that something strange lingers here, something that refuses to be forgotten. But what do you think? Are these just local legends passed down through generations, or have the residents of Calverton truly been brushing shoulders with the other side? Let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced anything strange in Calverton, or if you dare to visit after dark. Nestled in the brooding heart of the Peak District, where steep hills loom and shadows gather early, lies the village of Castleton. A place of rare beauty by day, but once night falls, something far darker begins to stir. Beneath its picturesque charm runs a labyrinth of naturally formed caverns, deep, ancient hollows that have held secrets for centuries. But it's not just the stone that lingers in Castleton. It's whispers, footsteps, cries for mercy, carried on the wind. Winnett's Pass, winding and wild to the west of the village, is more than just a scenic route. It's where, in 1758, a young couple, Henry and Clara, fled to elope, only to be ambushed by thieves on a storm-torn night. Their cries echoed through the cliffs as they were brutally murdered for their valuables. Their bodies were hidden deep in a mine and forgotten. But the land did not forget, nor did the dead. Today, their restless spirits are said to haunt the pass, begging for mercy from men long gone, their voices rising in the wind like a terrible prayer. In the village below, Castle Hotel stands as another silent witness to the past. On Castle Street, the sorrowful spirit of Thomas, a man who took his own life, is said to linger, his silhouette seen hanging in still corners. Down in the cold, echoing cellar, the ghost of a nurse is said to wander, her footsteps soft but unshakable. In rare, bone-chilling moments, a bride in her wedding dress is seen gliding through rooms, her face pale, her fate unknown. Over it all towers Peveril Castle, clinging to the hilltop like a sentinel. One of the earliest Norman fortresses, it's now a crumbling monument to forgotten power. But it is not silent. On cold, clear nights, villagers report hearing ghostly singing from the ruins, and some have seen a spectral knight roaming the grounds, never speaking, never stopping. Alongside him, a black dog with burning eyes prowls the paths, vanishing into mist when approached. In Castleton, the past is not just remembered, it walks, and if you listen closely, the village will tell you its stories, whether you want to hear them or not. And so, as the mist rolls once more through the valley and the shadows stretch across Winnett's Pass, Castleton remains a village where history and the haunted walk hand in hand. From the tragic whispers of Henry and Clara to the mournful echoes from Peveril Castle's crumbling keep, this isn't just a place of beauty, but of lingering sorrow and restless spirits. But now we want to hear from you. Have you walked Castleton's winding lanes after dark, heard a voice on the wind, or seen a flicker of something that shouldn't be there? Drop your ghost stories or theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell, because we've got more chilling tales from Britain's most haunted villages coming next. Until then, keep your lights on. On the windswept plains of Salisbury, surrounded by mist and silence, lies a place lost in time, and haunted by its past. A village known as Imber, abandoned, hollow, and whispering with memories that refuse to fade. Once, Imber was a simple farming community, quiet, peaceful, alive. Now, it's nothing more than shattered windows, rotten doors, and the constant hum of something unseen, watching. They call it a ghost town, and not just because the people left. The horror began in 1943. With World War II raging across Europe, Allied forces prepared for the largest invasion the world had ever seen. But for the villagers of Imber, another kind of war arrived, one they could never have imagined. On November 1st, military trucks rolled into town. The War Office gave the people 47 days. Just 47 days to leave their homes, their land, their history. Imber, they said, was to become a training ground for urban warfare, a stage for war, not for life. The villagers were promised they could return when the war ended. That promise was a lie. Only the church of St. Giles was spared. The rest of Imber was left to rot. Its homes became empty shells, windows black with dust, doors left ajar like open mouths mid-scream. And still, they say the villagers never left. Imber's history stretches back to the Saxon era, even appearing in the Domesday Book under the name Imber. But by the late 1800s, things began to turn. The War Office, hungry for more land, began to quietly buy up Imber, piece by piece. The soil was barren, the farms struggling. Some sold willingly, but others were eventually pushed out. The land no longer theirs, the military now their landlord. And finally, when the village was taken completely, those final words came: leave, or be caught in the blast. It was the last thing they ever heard on their own soil. Now Imber is more than abandoned, it is haunted. Visitors speak of shadows peering from broken windows, the ghostly laughter of children, and cold breezes that carry no wind. Most chilling of all, strange graffiti appears on the walls, etched in places no human could reach, vanishing just as mysteriously. Some say the dead are trying to communicate, and two spirits are said to walk the streets more than most. Albert Nash was the village blacksmith, a man of grit and grease, warmth and kindness. When Imber was taken, something inside him broke. He left his forge in silence. 6 weeks later, Albert was dead. They say he died of a broken heart. But death was not the end for Albert. Now his workshop echoes with the clang of phantom hammers. Visitors speak of the smell of oil, the sound of footsteps, and a voice humming a sorrowful tune in the dark. He's never seen, but when something breaks, when something goes wrong, Albert is always blamed. and sometimes it feels like he's just in the next room. Then there is Major Whistler, once Imber's wealthiest man. He owned the town hall, Imber Court, its future, its fate. Now he owns its silence. Witnesses have seen him, a figure lurking in the windows, staring out as if remembering a world he once controlled. Some even say the strange graffiti is his work, his way of keeping authority in death, as he did in life. Though their homes are gone, many villagers returned after death, not to live, but to be buried in the graveyard of St. Giles. And Imber, long sealed to the living, was suddenly reborn as a destination of the dead. In 2009, tour buses began to arrive. Curious thrill seekers walking the dead streets, hoping to catch a whisper or a shadow. Sometimes they get more than they bargained for. Just 18 minutes from Stonehenge lies this eerie husk of a village, a place where ghosts outnumber the living. So the next time you're walking through the Wiltshire Plains and a chill brushes your neck, ask yourself, are you alone? Or has Imber remembered you? Subscribe for more haunted history if you dare. Perched on the hillside, staring solemnly over Boscastle harbour, stands a building with charm, elegance, and unrest. The Wellington Hotel may look like a cosy Cornish inn, but behind that welcoming smile lies a much darker truth. A history steeped in tragedy, and a present haunted by those who never truly left. Built in the 16th century, it began as a coaching inn, a resting place for weary travellers seeking refuge from the stormy Cornish coast. Over the years, it evolved. Its name changed, walls shifted, but some things lingered. In 2004, a devastating flood swallowed much of the village. The hotel was battered by the waters, its lower floors consumed. But when it was finally rebuilt, something else was stirred awake. Old spirits, newly restless. The first of the phantoms is not one of violence, but of love beyond the grave. Novelist Thomas Hardy and his wife are said to walk arm in arm through the halls, just as they did in life. Guests have spotted them in fleeting moments, never speaking, never acknowledging, just quietly walking together, as if the hotel has become their final chapter. But not all spirits are so gentle. In room 9, one guest was awoken by something unnatural. An elderly woman, pale and stern, stood at the foot of her bed, before suddenly leaping forward and pinning her to the mattress. She couldn't scream, she couldn't move. Only when the spirit vanished did she sit up, breathless, shaken, unsure if it had even happened. But the scratch marks on her arms said otherwise. A darker figure still roams the hotel. A man in black, clad in a frock coat, hair tied back in a long ponytail. Witnesses say he stands silently in the corner of a room, watching, always watching, until you notice him. Then he turns away and vanishes into the shadows. Then there's the girl. A transparent child, no older than 7, has been seen near rooms 15, 16, and 17, skipping down the hall, her laughter soft and strange. She smiles at guests. Some smile back, until they watch her walk through the door without opening it. She never speaks, but she seems playful, curious, almost like she's trying to play hide and seek with the living. Nobody knows her name, No records match her face. But the living aren't meant to see what lies beyond the walls. The Wellington Hotel is not just a place to rest your head. It's a crossroads, a vessel for the past, a mirror for the living, and for the dead. And so, as the sea mist curls through the narrow lanes of Boscastle, and the ancient stones whisper secrets only the brave dare to hear, one question lingers. Do the spirits of Boscastle still roam its windswept cliffs and shadowed cottages? Or are they just echoes of tales long told by flickering candlelight? If you've ever visited this eerie village or experienced something you can't explain, we want to hear your story. Drop a comment below, share your thoughts, or tell us what haunted location we should explore next. And remember, some doors, once opened, never truly close. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep your lantern close. The next story might be closer than you think. And finally, we come to the village named by Guinness World Records as the most haunted village in England. In the quiet fields of Kent lies a village where the dead refuse to sleep. Pluckley, charming by day but chilling by night, is believed to be the most haunted village in England. From the shadowy figure of a highwayman pinned to a tree at Fright Corner, from the screams that echo from the ruins of the old brickworks, the ghosts here don't whisper, they cry out, and if the stories are true, they're still waiting to be heard. With just over 1,000 residents, Pluckley may seem like your typical sleepy English village, but something else resides here too. In recent years, over a dozen ghostly sightings have chilled locals and visitors alike. These are 10 of Pluckley's most spine-chilling tales. Number 1. The Highwayman of Fright Corner. There's a reason they call it Fright Corner. In the 18th century, a highwayman made this lonely stretch his final battleground. Engaged in a violent clash with the village peacekeepers, he was brutally run through with a sword, pinned to an old oak tree where he died in agony. Now they say the fight plays out again and again under the veil of fog, a ghostly duel that always ends the same way. Number 2. Dicky Buss's Lane. Dappled light through the leaves, bird song in the distance. It looks peaceful, but don't be fooled. This woodland lane, named after local miller Dicky Buss, hides a grim tale. After World War I, a despondent schoolteacher took his own life, hanging himself in these very woods. Weeks later, it was Dicky who found the body. Now, visitors claim to see a shadow dangling in the trees and feel a cold dread that chokes the air when they walk too far alone. Number 3. Screams of agony. The scream doesn't sound human. It rips through the trees like something alive, high-pitched, endless, full of agony so raw it makes your skin crawl and your blood run cold. And once you hear it, you never forget it. He is the screaming man of Pluckley. The story goes back to a man who worked at the old brickworks. He fell, or was pushed, into a clay pit and was buried alive, his lungs filling with earth as he screamed for help that never came. And now his spirit is trapped, still screaming, still desperate. Walkers who enter the woods at dusk report it. The scream, the cold air, the feeling of being watched. Some say they see fleeting shapes between the trees, so if you ever find yourself near Pluckley, and the wind dies, and everything goes too quiet, listen closely, because if you hear the howls of agony, you may already be too deep. Number 4. Maltman's Hill. Imagine walking alone at night when you hear it, the thunder of hooves behind you. But there's no road, no riders, just the unmistakable sound of a coach tearing through time. Locals speak of a ghostly, horse-drawn carriage seen gliding along Maltman's Hill, lanterns aglow and wheels turning above the earth. In 1997, a driver almost crashed when he heard it. Hooves on cobblestones where only tarmac lay. The horses are gone, but something still rides. Number 5. The Red Lady of St. Nicholas. In the graveyard of Pluckley's ancient church, one spirit grieves eternally. Lady Dering, buried in the 1100s in a lead coffin, was laid to rest with a single red rose. Now, she's seen wandering among the headstones, wailing softly, searching in vain for the grave of her stillborn child. Locals call her the Red Lady, a figure of sorrow, beauty, and unending heartbreak. Number 6. The menacing monk of Greystones. Once known as Rectory Cottage, Greystones stands cold and quiet, but not empty. Built in 1863, it housed the local rector, and perhaps something else. Visitors once claimed to see a hooded monk gliding through its halls. Since its name changed, he's gone silent, but they say he's only hiding, watching from the corners, waiting for his moment to return. Number 7. The Gypsy Ghost of Pinnock Bridge. On warm days, you might see her, a woman in mist, sitting quietly on the edge of the old stone bridge, puffing on a pipe. She was a gypsy who made her living selling watercress from the stream below, until a tragic accident burned her alive on that very spot. She never speaks. She doesn't move. She just sits there, watching. Number 8. The Ghosts of the Blacksmith's Arms. Once called the Spectre's Arms and the Ghost's Arms, this pub wears its hauntings with pride. Inside, 3 ghostly figures are said to roam. A Tudor maid, moving through the shadows. A coachman, staring into the hearth as if remembering a life long gone. And a cavalier, haunting the upper rooms, searching for something, or someone, he never found. Number 9. The Misty Miller. Dickie Buss isn't finished haunting Pluckley. His old windmill, the Pinnocks, fell silent in 1930, then was struck by lightning 9 years later. Now ruined, the mill draws attention when storms approach, because just before thunder cracks, Dickie is seen again. A hazy figure among the ruins, caught forever between the earth and sky. Number 10. The Black Horse Inn. At the Black Horse, the ghosts don't show themselves, they steal. Cutlery vanishes from tables, glasses slide on their own, and whatever disappears will almost always return, but only after a few days, and never quite where you left it. They're pranksters, perhaps, or maybe they're trying to be remembered. And so, as night falls over Pluckley and the mists curl once more through its crooked lanes, one question remains. Do the spirits truly linger here, or are they just stories whispered to thrill the curious and the brave? Whether it's the screaming man in the woods, the phantom coach rattling down the lanes, or the lady in red forever searching for something lost, Pluckley holds tight to its haunted crown. But what do you think? Are these just chilling legends, or is there something more waiting in the dark corners of England's most haunted village? Let us know your thoughts or your own ghostly encounters in the comments below. And always remember, in Pluckley, the silence might just be listening.